Alan Feirer. Thanks for watching. I know that I raved a bit about the 5 dysfunctions of a team a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to do it just a little bit more. Last month, I was working with a team, doing some team building, not using this resource at all. And we reached a bit of a stopping point. I was working with the people in marketing, and they were distressed with the sales team, and somebody made the remark, "We always do the heavy lifting. It's like we're doing the work of 2 teams at once." And someone else said, "Yeah, that's because we're good." And they were half joking, and they were half serious. And something possessed me to share with them the basic tenets of this book, even though it wasn't a part of the program. I said, you think you're good. How do you do on these things right here? And so I shared with them the basic 5 dysfunctions in the model and the way it pulls out. Share that with you right now. So at the very bottom, the very essence of what we've got going on is trust. And a lot of people say, I trust my people, I trust my teammates, because I always know what they're going to do and I know I can count on them. That's not the kind of trust we're talking about here. This is the kind of trust that's based on vulnerability. The idea that I feel safe with the people I'm around. And I know it sounds a little touchy-feely, a little soft, and it's not, because it's how we get things done, is that people are open with each other. Once people can be open with each other, then we can move on to conflict. This is not any kind of aggressive, assertive, backbiting conflict. We're scared of that. That's all wrong. And so what ends up happening is that we don't have any conflict at all. People are too nice. People are avoiding stepping on each other's feelings. They're yes people. They're agreeable in the meeting, especially important meetings, and then in the parking lot, in the coffee room, wherever, they badmouth the decisions, they badmouth each other, and then that starts to violate the trust part of it. Once we feel open and vulnerable with each other, we can have open and honest, healthy conflict, right? Then we can achieve commitment. People are willing to rally around decisions that they might not agree with, as long as they feel like they were a part of it. Sometimes leaders or strong team members will force decisions because they can, and then they think that everybody's committed when they're just quietly not. Again, it's because there wasn't the open conflict, because there wasn't the safe trust environment. So once we have commitment, then we can start to hold each other accountable. This kind of accountability is something that we usually rely on the team leader for. The manager, the supervisor, the project manager. The healthiest teams, the very best teams, rely on each other. Peer-to-peer feedback works when people are committed to what's going on, because we've had the open, honest discussions, because people have felt safe to talk about it. This is one where people really fall short and they say, well, not my problem. The very best teams say, yeah, that is my problem. And then what ends up happening is they get results, because that really is what it's all about. But these steps need to come before that. So I laid this out for this marketing team, and I was prepared to move on. But everybody was sitting around the table like, huh. And the senior vice president spoke up and said, this is it. This is why we feel like we're doing the heavy lifting. Because we do those things. Not always. We don't always nail it, but we do those things. In sales, they have the meetings where everybody just goes around and nods their head, says, yes, sir. And then they go out and talk about it, and they don't get what they're supposed to get. But we support them through it. We do the work of 2 teams. We had to take a break. We had to take a break to let that sink in. And this was an aside. What if this wasn't an aside? I mean, this got them thinking. They were talking about it later, the meetings afterwards, the informal meeting afterwards. We were still talking about this stuff. What if this was a formal approach? Lencioni and Wiley have worked hand in hand to create the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team. This is a facilitation system. Yes, it's an assessment. Yes, there's some training involved, but it's more than that. It's a way to facilitate any team through all 5 of these behaviors. Your team can have those, oh my gosh, this is it. This is what we need to do differently. We're doing fine here. We need to do this. This stuff is very powerful, and I'd love the chance to visit with you about it. So there we go. If you haven't read this yet, for crying out loud, just read it. It just takes a couple of hours. It's been a bestseller forever, for 15 years, so it's pretty easy to find. So buy it, check it out, read it, or better yet, give me a call. We have coffee. No obligation, obviously, and I'm happy to give you your very own copy. Thanks very much for watching me. I'm Alan Feirer with Group Dynamic, pretty passionate about the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team. and I hope we talk about it sometime. Thanks for watching.